I'll leave this up here so you guys can read this. And excuse my voice, I'm a little bit sick, feeling under the weather. It's 5 a.m. here in New Jersey right now. I usually don't get up this early, but I've been up for the past hour. I've been sleeping pretty bad this whole week, but that's neither here nor there. I wanted to talk about landlords real quick because it's really came to my attention within the past 2 months that landlords are completely useless in society. And I'll let you guys read this thing here. I'm not really going to go over it necessarily. I don't want to like read it word for word. I'll let you guys read that. And you can let me know what you think about it. And let me know if you think I'm being one of these Gen Z complainers or what. Because I'm 28 years old, right? And like I've lived on my own for 3 years in an apartment, right, that I rent. And I mean, it's getting really bad for me, right? My rent this year went up $100. My landlord recently purchased this building in November. So the old landlord was like a little bit older than me. He had a kid and all that stuff. Just had a kid. He didn't have money, right? So that's why he sold the building basically. Because he didn't have money to fix stuff, and there's 15 people that live in my building. So he couldn't keep up with payments. So he sold it to a guy who, mind you, I met this guy and he looks like a Joe Rogan type. I mean, this guy was very exotic looking. He had face tats. He was almost a little intimidating looking, right? I mean, he wasn't like a huge guy, but like, he was maybe like 5'9". He was pretty jacked. He had tats all over him and on his face. He was bald too, and the tats went all over. He was wearing a shirt even that said cult leader. So I mean, this guy stood out to me a lot. I was like, whoa, this guy, like, he's not like your typical average looking everyday person. So me being me, I did my research on him when I found out his name. He actually has mentorship programs. He makes content actually. He makes YouTube videos. Oh my god, sorry guys with the coughing. He makes YouTube videos, makes Instagram reels. 'Cause I found his Instagram. He has all these reels mentoring people on real estate. And he's got in his bio, $10 million plus real estate portfolio. And I'm just thinking, so this guy's investment strategy, because when I looked into him and he said his strategy, is he takes beaten up places like the place I live at. It's been here since the 80s, not too much renovations. Anyone who moves out, he renovates the apartment to jack up the rent. He's already jacked up mine, even though I haven't moved and there hasn't been renovations done here. So his plan essentially is to just price people out. I mean, and that's what landlords do. They just make money off you. There's nothing special about them. I mean, the fact that we look at landlords and property investment like it's some sort of achievement, like people should be praised for it and they're rewarded all this fiat currency for it. This is actually utter human peak stupidity that we look at these people and think that they're special. These people make your lives miserable, landlords, right? Because they raise the rent on you. If they cared about you, which I know no one cares about anyone in today's world. It's all about money, right? Most of you don't even know where money comes from. I guarantee that 9 out of 10 people that you ask on the street, where does money come from? They will answer the question incorrectly. And this is what I'm saying is why I don't know why people. I mean, listen, I guess I just realized these things about landlords, like because we would all love to be property investors, right, and make passive income and have tenants and all that stuff and make a good living. We would all love that, but what are you really accomplishing? Your whole goal is to make money. Your whole goal isn't to make sure your tenants are okay. Because let's be real, my landlord doesn't know who any of us are. Just say with your landlord. He doesn't know who you are personally. He knows your name. He doesn't know your story. He doesn't know what you go through. If you don't pay up your rent, they're going to kick you out. And I know there's a lot of laws that are more tenant friendly depending on where you live than landlord friendly. But it's so funny that even the state screws the landlords making decent money, right? They're out to get someone like a landlord who could make really good money, right, off of a property investment. I'm not saying to not do these things. I'm not saying this is bad. But what I'm saying is the worship of this kind of stuff and the worship of these people that do these kind of things, and how the older generation, who all has homes and are sitting on $1 million homes, right? They act like they did something. They act like what they did was so special. I don't think that anything my parents did was special, to be honest with you. My parents own their home, right? They live in a nice suburb here in New Jersey, right? They got it, I don't know, mid 2000s maybe, 2005 or something. And it's worth, uh, pretty much half. It's worth 500,000 more practically than what my dad paid for it. You know what I mean? So, and it's easy for the older generation because they have it made for themselves. They were able to go to work and make a living off of mediocre jobs. Now it's like if you have a good job, you're still struggling. It's if you're not making six figures, at least. In fact, making six figures isn't even that big of a deal anymore. That's nothing now, right? You really have to make like 200K to live comfortably, and the vast majority of people do not even make close to that. Vast majority of Americans make $40,000 a year annually. So again, it's like we're all working, right? I've been working full time for the past 7 years, and it's like I am nowhere near able to own a home. Nowhere. And people are going to say, well, you're young. This is not, you're young. Listen, please let me know where I'm going to get $1.5 million to buy a somewhat decent home. Please let me know. Like, people think the prices are going to go down or something. They think like things are going to go back to how it was 30 years ago. It's not. We're transitioning into a world where you'll own nothing and be happy. Said the World Economic Forum. Says the corporations that control your government and have a say in where your money goes and what you do on a daily basis. But people still have this false hope that they think, oh, it's going to go back to normal. I'm telling you it's not. Have I been wrong in my videos? I'm not 100% correct in everything, but I see things for what they are. And a lot of people in my generation are seeing things for what they are now. And they don't want to participate in the scam. Here, I'll put something on the screen now for you guys. But anyway, my generation, a lot of us are lazy. I agree. A lot of us are incompetent because of our school system and bad parenting. But a lot of us mean well. And a lot of us see that, wow, I got to go to work for 40 years of my life, for 50 hours a week, for a job I don't like, just to survive, just to barely make it, just to maybe survive. That's the thing. It's not even like if we were making good money at our jobs and there wasn't the price constantly of everything, not just rent, everything being raised, you wouldn't hear complaints. But what are we supposed to do if I'm a single person getting groceries and I'm paying an average of $150 every 2 weeks practically? What am I supposed to do? Well, you should get a second job. I don't want to get a second job. How about that? We shouldn't have to be slaving away our time like this. We can make a better world. But people want to constantly feed the beast system that's failing. And it's meant to fail on purpose. It wasn't designed to go on forever. And listen, like, maybe I do sound negative. Maybe I do sound like a typical lazy Gen Zer. But you know what? I see through the scam. Unlike if you're an older person, unlike you, like you couldn't see through it. You participated in it probably because it worked for you. But now it's not working anymore. That's the point. Again, unless you're like some sort of entrepreneur, you have your own business, or you got the online world where you can make YouTube channels and get rich off all these things now from the internet and AI. Like unless you're like the top 1% guy even, and then it comes to women too, right? Like women will say like, oh, well, a man has to make like 200K. I feel like that's the answer I hear the most from women is 200K. But they don't realize that like 5%, well maybe not 5, but let's just say 10% of men in like the whole world even would make close to that kind of money. So listen, our minds are all distorted, the way we view things, and I hope I'm saying something that makes sense here. how I'm tying like landlords and my generation, the property value of stuff, the price of everything rising, and how, my generation is not participating in the workforce as much. They're also getting fired, right, at a really fast rate. And probably because, again, the education system, so called, the parents didn't prepare their kids for the real world. And these are the repercussions now. So, if you're an older person watching this, you're in that generation that bought a house in the 90s or early 2000s, and now it's worth twice as much than what you paid for. I'm happy for you. I really, truly am. But just understand that while you're sitting on all this money, the powers that be are looking at your retirement accounts. The dollar is set to collapse at any given day. So I hope you have plans. I hope like boomers or whatever don't think that, because I always tell my parents this, like, I hope you don't think you're just gonna retire and run off in the sunset. First of all, your job here isn't done. You've already let down my generation, so you have a job to do still. Um, and I forgot the second thing. But two is that you bought a home that now I'm gonna have to buy from you, so you're gonna make a huge profit off me. So you see, everything's about money, everything's a scam, everything's about selfishness. Again, the older generation, they want to retire, run off, pretend like nothing's happening. Meanwhile, the government, this is what I was gonna say, they're looking at your retirement funds. The dollar's about to collapse. So your home, in the end of the day, and pretty much most of what you did in your life, is meaningless. And I know that's mean. That might sound arrogant. That might sound even really fucking rude. And excuse my language, but and I speak for my whole generation. We're so tired of this political and economical situation in the world.